episode of Unpopular Opinion. Well, Unpopular Opinion, What's Your Name Network, it's all on the same umbrella of shows. But today we just following up on our first episode that covered the first episode in the series, The Evolution of the Black Quarterback, that you can find on Amazon Prime Video to be exact. Now, on this particular episode, it continued this storyline as we went through history, took a trip back to the past in the history, and then we brought it up to more current times, and we did some pretty unique things as we explored the evolution of the black quarterback. Now, in this particular episode, I was really excited for it, but it kind of went in a different direction than I initially thought it would go in, but it still nonetheless was a great episode. In this particular episode, it was called Game Changers. Game Changers. Either you how can I put this? We know we had Cam Newton talking about game changers and game managers. Game manager is not a bad thing. Game changer, that's next level type stuff. You can be a gamer, but you're not a great gamer. But I'm getting off the subject. But in this particular episode, we talked about a number of game changers that help to inspire others to actually be game changers in their own right. So the first person that they covered and interviewed was Warren Moon. He committed to Arizona State University, and then they ended up getting two quarterbacks, Dennis Sproles, and he ended up playing tight end in the NFL, and some other guy, but he ended up decommitting and going to JUCO. And he had a great career in high school that should have granted him every opportunity to go out and be someone's starting quarterback. So it's no question why he shouldn't have been someone starting QB fresh out of high school. So it's one of those things, once again, when people have to get an opportunity, because that's one of the quotes that he actually stated out of his own very mouth. All you ask for in life is an opportunity, Warren Moon. And that's one of the things that go back to my last point from the first episode. It's like, man, we really can't say who was the greatest because a lot of people did not get an opportunity. That's just the fact of the matter. But Warren Moon, it was some of the things that I did not know about him because he came in when I was into the game when I was very young, and I knew who he was, and I knew he had to be something great for him to be revered in the way that he was. For him to be so famous and such a powerful name. And one thing that we did not realize was he was like the only black quarterback in the game at that time, and for the NFL pro level. But I'm skipping ahead. But basically, he was committed to Arizona State. He decommits from Arizona, and he played high school ball in California, if I remember correctly. He decommits. He went to JUCO, and then he ended up going to Washington. Washington Huskies. The purple and gold, same school that Michael Penix Jr. played for. Now, it's very interesting that he would not take no for an answer. He was not going to allow them to say, hey, I'm going to change positions. I'm going to listen to what you say and take me out of my box and my skill set in my area and say that I'm not a quarterback. So that was very courageous on his part at that time when a lot of people, they just kind of listen, well, if I want to get a shot, I'm going to change positions, as some did. But he said, no, I will do as Robert Frost did. take the road less traveled. You know, I'd make another road. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. But Washington as a sophomore, he was called the N word much of the time. That's how he put it. Nigga. And he was not used to that, being a young kid from California and coming up and realizing that people just had such a bigoted mindset, attitude, and perception of people playing a game, a kid that was playing the game at that time. And he ended up getting used to what he said in that particular episode. And one of the things that catapulted his notoriety and his star power was when they played in the 1978 Rose Bowl, and he beat, I believe it was Notre Dame on Michigan. I can't remember. Let me look it up in just a second. But in that particular 1978 Rose Bowl, in the 1978 Rose Bowl, he was actually the MVP. That's right. The Washington Huskies beat the Michigan Wolverines of a score of 27-20, I believe it was. But he was a Rose Bowl MVP. Rose Bowl MVP. But he still would not get drafted in the NFL. They tried to change his position. They would not draft him as a quarterback. So you know what? Another league gave him an opportunity. You had people like the likes of Doug Williams. He was in the USFL, and by the time Warren Moon ended up going to the NFL. But here's the kicker. Warren Moon did not get drafted by the NFL, and he said, okay, you know what? Y'all keep that. I'm going to go do what I can do, wherever I can do it, because I'm a quarterback. And he actually went on to play in the CFL in his first 5 seasons. 5 times in a row. 5 consecutive years, he was the Grey Cup champion. So that would be the equivalent of the Super Bowl. 5 times in a row. 1978, 1984. 5 times in a row, y'all. He finally got into the NFL, and I'm sorry, 78 to 82. 78 to 82. 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. Boom. 5 in a row. Then he finally was able to get an opportunity in the NFL after people like, oh, wait a minute. I think he can do it. Well, what about that guy? It's like back then you didn't want me, now I'm hot, y'all on type stuff. And he ended up playing from 1984 to 2000. Think about that. So he played professionally from 78 to 2000. So let's take into consideration what he could have done had he been able to play in the NFL from 1978 to 2000. He is arguably the greatest quarterback ever. He is one of the greatest ever, but he could be definitely the greatest ever because he has done some things that nobody's done. Think about that. He was able to play in 2 leagues and be a winner. He didn't win any Super Bowls in the NFL, but he did have 5 championships in the CFL, and he did have some playoff victories, and then he was highly productive in the NFL, even though he had to sacrifice those first 5 years of productivity and prime athleticism and ability, but he still had it. He was just great from start to finish. So you can't say anything about that. And once again, this episode, it talked about some of the likes of Ronald Cunningham, Dante Culpepper, Steve McNabb, Donovan McNabb, Tommy Frazier, Cordell Stewart, Charlie Ward. Now, they mentioned those gentlemen, but the ones that they actually interviewed Warren Moon, as stated. They interviewed Donovan McNabb and Charlie Ward, and Michael Vick. They gave a little bit more about his story. He revolutionized the game. He closed it out. And one of the things that, like I said in this episode, it kind of had me, it went down a path that I didn't think it would go was the fact that they interviewed Deion Sanders, and I had no idea that he played quarterback in high school. But um, he talked about how he played high school, and then Vick kind of made the comparison of how he really wanted to. He patterned some of his game and his skill set after Deion's game and skill set, and he also just got a little bit more insight about Deion's background in football, and so that was one of the people that Michael Vick tapped in with to just talk about, okay, this person was an inspiration to me. But the other one, like I said, it went a couple of ways that I didn't think it was going to go. It went to Steve Young. And Steve Young is a very talented quarterback. For a long time, he was my favorite quarterback. He is still on my top list or whatever, however many, what you want to say it, 5, 10, whatever. He's up there. He's one of the greatest ever. And he was mobile. You know what I mean? He played the game unlike the normal, typical upright pocket passer QB. So they went down the path of talking about some of the white quarterbacks that actually were mobile, athletic, and played the game as if what they would typically say a black quarterback played the game. So you had like Bobby Douglas, Frank Tarkenton, Roger Staubach, Steve Young, John Elway, and then they also interviewed Josh Allen, who was a current one. So I like how they actually combine the past with the present and just really let you know that if you a gamer, you a gamer. If you can ball, you can ball. And if your style of play is unique to you, let that person go out there and do what they do. Because it seems like no one should be like, oh, Josh Allen should stay in the pocket more. Oh, Steve Young should stay in the pocket more. No, it's not about that. It's about going out there and being the best you that you can be. Now, one of the things that many people may not have known, well, before I get to that, as we went through this episode, no, I'm gonna do that at the end. I'm gonna do that at the end. I'm gonna do that at the end. Now, one of the things you may not have known was Charlie Ward. Great quarterback, one of the greatest, probably the greatest in Florida State history. I would say he's the greatest quarterback in Florida State history. Took him to their first national championship, won the first national championship, racked up all the awards, Heisman Trophy winning, all that. Just a phenomenal talent. And he was a two-sport athlete. He played basketball. Now, if you didn't know who Charlie Ward was before today, you need to go do some research. You need to go back and look. Charlie Ward actually played basketball and football for Florida State. He was a two-sport talent. He excelled in both, and he made the statement that, hey, if y'all not going to draft me in the first round, I'm going to play basketball. And he did just that. And he had a very good career with the New York Knicks, and I think he may have played for a couple other teams. But he played like 10 years in the NBA and had a good career. You know what I mean? You can't ask for nothing more than that. He didn't have to take all the hits and stuff for football, but it still would have been great to see him out there on the football field. And another thing was the fact of the matter is they included Deion in here, and Deion played baseball and football, and we know Bo Jackson also played baseball and football. But it seems like there could have been a way for them to figure out how can we do this unprecedented? Because that would have been box office. That would have been a a marketing machine to have this two-sport talent. But people were saying he was too small, he wasn't committed enough, and things of that nature, and they just didn't think he was ready. They were crazy. But like Warren Moon said, okay, if you're not gonna give me an opportunity here, I will pursue other options that I have available because I have options. And in life, a lot of times you had to realize that you have more options than people think you have. Don't just let them box you in. But Charlie Ward, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time because this guy actually has the same last name as me. I'm not sure if we're related. I feel like somehow we are because, talent, skill, success, making a way out of no way, doing your best, excelling, all that's just part of that name, that Ward name. And I can identify with a lot of that. He was a big inspiration for why I played football too. Now, I got to a point where I said, well, you know what? I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm gonna go do something different. But growing up in Little League, I played for Park. That was Park West, who were the Rebels. And once I moved from northwest Birmingham to northeast Birmingham, east side to west side, played for a little league team called the Huffman Raiders. Now, once I advanced up, my coach he ended up going to another part, and I was excited about going to that part because it actually was the Pinson Indians, and so that was my chance to be a Seminole of sorts. So that was one of the reasons why that led me to go down there and play ball with them instead of staying with the other team or whatever. But um, Charlie Ward, man, 5'11", 182. The Vikings and the Chiefs were the only two teams that called him, man. But they were gonna take him later. They're gonna take him later. And he was like, "Man, look, I'm better than I'm a first round talent. So if you're not gonna take me seriously, why should I take you seriously?" And that's the fact of the matter. If people don't take you seriously, you got to be definitely willing to say, "Hey, look now, look, thanks but no thanks. I'm good on that." Then from there, they went on to interview Donovan McNabb, and he was a running back in high school, and that would have been a load. Now he was still a load to him as a running back. I mean, as a quarterback, but he also was a two-sport athlete in college. He played basketball as well. Now he said he ended up being a quarterback because the running back would often get hurt, and he had to just go ahead and pursue that role in high school, and it stuck with him. And Syracuse was able to give him a scholarship and allow him to play basketball as well as football. As he went through his career, he was an inspiration to so many people coming up. He was an inspiration to Michael Vick. Him and Michael Vick ended up playing on the Eagles later in both of their careers, but we know that before that, Vick and McNabb had a relationship because McNabb actually recruited Vick to to Syracuse, but he ended up going to Virginia Tech. One reason he went to Virginia Tech was because Virginia Tech had not had a black quarterback ever in history. So he was the first ever. And he said that was a page, or that was some inspiration that was drawn from Charlie Ward, who was the first African American quarterback in Florida State history. So it was a lot of history in this, man. And it was great to see guys like Charlie Ward, great to see McNabb, wonderful to see Warren Moon, great to see Josh Allen get some camera time, as well as Steve Young. But and Deion Sanders, and also get that background and more context on Michael Vick. It's a great episode. You should definitely check it out. But this is the thing. This is what I'm getting to. While it went to a place that I didn't expect it to go, I still felt like it was missing something. And I know Steve McNabb, rest in peace. He's no longer with us in the mortal sense. But I feel like if we interviewed Charlie Ward, we could have given Cordell Stewart some time. Maybe he's in the next episode. I don't know. But I think this is only a 3-episode docuseries. But I feel like it should be so much more than that. I feel like we should get something from Cordell Stewart, especially with what's going on at Colorado, especially what's going on with the Buffaloes right now. They are a more relevant program with Coach Prime. So that seemed like that could have been a good segue to fit those two in with it. You know, if y'all interviewed Deion Sanders, who was the head coach of Colorado, you should have been able to figure something out and get Cordell Stewart in the mix. I'm just saying, man, I just felt like that was missing. And we know he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mr. Slash, so on and so forth, you know. Tommy Frazier, great athlete, Nebraska. We don't hear enough about him, man. He was good. He was great, man. He went to 2 out of 3 championships. No, he went to 3 straight championships and won 2 out of 3 at the University of Nebraska, Cornhuskers. But he didn't get an opportunity to play in the NFL as a quarterback. And furthermore, Dante Culpepper, I feel like we could have got him some camera time, man. Come on, he was another Minnesota Viking, you know. Well, he was a Minnesota Viking. And this is the one that I did not understand why we couldn't get him fit in the mix. And they also interviewed Andy Reid, and I left that out. We got Deion Sanders coach of Colorado Buffaloes. That could have been the easiest fit to throw in Cordell Stewart somewhere in the mix. We got Michael Vick, who was the Atlanta Falcons quarterback as well as the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. We had Donovan McNabb, who was the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. But you know who else was missing? I feel like we should have had some Randall Cunningham. Come on now, man. What Randall Cunningham, man? We could have got Randall Cunningham in there somewhere, man. Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, and then, could have slid Dante Culpepper in there too. And we could have just even had some people speak on McNabb. They touched on McNabb, but I feel like we could have given him a little bit more camera time, man, because they talked about how McNair, it was just amazing. It was something fascinating to see him playing in college at Alcorn State. And another quarterback that they talked about, it was just like, it was electric to watch him play, Charlie Ward. Great episode. I'm really glad, delighted, and excited that these gentlemen are giving their moment, giving their time, giving their kudos, their props, their respect, all that good stuff. But I feel like we're missing a few. And I see that we're going to have a few more people that we got to interview. I know we're going to get Mahomes in the mix. I know because I haven't seen the clip on that. I think we're going to get a little Dak Prescott in later episodes. And I know we got to get some Cam Newton in there because that's like one of the biggest personalities. And we should get some Russell Wilson. We had a little bit of Jalen Hurts in the first episode, current Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. But come on, don't leave us hanging, man. This is too good, man. Hopefully it's not over. Hopefully I'm just seeing a little bit at a time, and y'all gonna release a few more episodes as the weeks progress. But we need some more. I just want more because it's too good not to give us everything that we can get out of it, man. But big ups to you all. I'm glad you all did it. And once again, that's my opinion. I have my opinion. You have your opinion. We all have our opinion. But that opinion just might be an unpopular opinion. So once again, thank y'all for tuning in. And as always, stay blessed. I ain't got nothing else left to say, man. But go check it out. Evolution of the Black Quarterback, Prime Video. Y'all be safe.